Right, so I'm back with the first update video of the missing persons case of Nicola Bulley. If you haven't already watched the first video, I suggest you do, but as long as you know the basics of the case, it's not essential that you watch the first video. It's now Monday the 6th of February 2023. It's 10 days after Nicola first went missing. Before we get into today's information, there's a few bits that I need to address from the last video. First of all, a few of you have pointed out that I said the 27th of February 2023 that she went missing. Obviously, today is the 6th of February. She didn't go missing on the 27th of February. She went missing on the 27th of January. I do think I said that later on in the video. But if it weren't completely obvious to you, it was the 27th of January 2023 that she took the dog for a walk after taking the kids to school and then weren't seen again. People are also pointing out that I pronounced the river as River Wyre rather than River Wyre. It's just how I'm pronouncing it. It's nothing to do with it. It's the river W-Y-R-E, just in case anyone's confused. Again, it's in the pictures, so it shouldn't be too hard. So not long after I finished recording yesterday's video, some footage was released, or images of some footage. The footage was from a door ring bell camera, I think at Nicola's house. That showed her loading up the car, ready to take the kids to school, and then to take the dog Willow for a walk. Now, there's nothing groundbreaking about this, it's everything we already knew, but it does confirm, it does show pictures of Nicola that morning before she left home. So we can confirm that she had her hair in a ponytail, and we can confirm exactly what she was wearing when she left the house. And obviously it weren't much longer that she then got to school and then took the dog for a walk, leaving the car near the school. Now, a major piece of information was revealed by Tilly-Ann. Tilly-Ann is a friend, a very close friend of Nicola's, a very close friend of the family, I believe. And she's basically sat back, looked at all the misinformation, looked at all the claims, and she said, well, this isn't right. Why ain't anyone putting it out there? Why ain't anyone setting the record straight? So that's what she's done. She's come forward on a Facebook post, and I think there's 11 pieces of information which she's put out there to tell people that, look, you're getting this all wrong. The first thing she said before the bullet points is, look, Paul Ansell, Nicola's partner, he's a lovely guy. Her exact words she used was spiritual, chilled out, and dotes on his family. So she's saying basically that she don't believe that he's got any part of it. And as we'll see in a minute, there is actually evidence to back up that he's not directly a part of it. There's no physical connection to him at all. So first of all, people have been saying, well, why would Paul at home? And she confirmed straight off that, look, Paul and Nicola both work from home. That's why we take it in turns to take the kids and the dog out. And apparently, according to her, CCTV does confirm that he didn't leave the house that morning. She confirmed that they do both take it in turns to do the walk, and that Paul's very well known in the community, adding that he's very well recognised as well. Now, I think at one point the police suggested that the dog's ball might have gone astray. She went to try and get it and then fell in the river. But Anne says that, no, that didn't happen. Tilly-Ann says that they don't take the ball out. And the reason they don't take the ball out for the walk is because the dog really likes the ball. It gets too excited. It's constantly pestering for the ball. So it kind of disturbs the walk. And rather it being a nice dog walk, it's constantly play with me. So well into last year, they stopped taking the ball. So there's practically no chance that they were using a ball. She went on to say it was quite common for Nicola Bulley to use a phone on loudspeaker. Now, I don't think that says all that much. It does say, because a lot of people saying that she'll have been wearing earphones. Well, if she used the phone on loudspeaker a lot, perhaps she was on loudspeaker. But I'd always had it in my head that it's likely that when she got to the bench, whether she sat down or not, she might have put her phone on the bench. And I think that does correlate that slightly. Obviously, it's not evidence, it's not proof. But in my eyes, it kind of confirms that it's a good chance that she might have put the phone on the bench before whatever happened. And obviously something happened. Be it she fell into the river, or she went, or she was took. Something's happened. And I think she did put the phone on the bench herself just before that. Tilly-Ann says that the harness that was found on the floor isn't that suspicious because the harness was always removed. Now, if you did watch yesterday's video, I have been adamant this entire time, that's weird. And I do think it's a little bit weird still, but Tilly-Ann has confirmed that once they enter that area, they take the harness off, and then when they leave the area, they put it back on. So they've mainly used the harness for the roads and stuff. And that kind of makes sense now, but it is an important thing. Nobody removed the harness. It is a typical thing that Nicola will have done by herself as soon as they got to that area. Going on, she says Willow the dog was found very close to the bench and the harness. The harness was found on the floor, not the bench. But I'm still led to believe that the phone was on the bench, although to be fair, I hadn't got that confirmed. The problem with this sort of stuff is you have so many people on social media, you have so many people on the news, you have friends and stuff, and a little bit of Chinese whispers happens. So when I say I hadn't had that confirmed, I mean that it hadn't been confirmed. Just because you've seen someone on Twitter saying the phone was on the bench, unless the police or the person that found the phone says it was on the bench, we haven't got that confirmed. Even a news reporter could have misheard it, could have misspelt it, whatever. She confirmed that Nicola went to the school, dropped the kids off and went for a walk. She confirmed that the dog was dry when the person found it. And she confirmed that the dog has since been returned. Something we're going to get onto a bit more later, she confirmed that there's CCTV at the caravan park. Now, if you look at the footage, the aerial view, the river and the bench back on, or the caravan park backs on to where the river and the bench are. So, obviously it's a good guess of, is there any cameras, does it oversee? Now, there was one camera that oversees that area. Would have caught exactly what happened, apparently. And all the cameras were working except from that one, which is always the case. I think that's very dodgy. But at the same point, it does seem to happen quite often. It is a coincidence that happens a lot. Now, from what I'm gathering, a lot of people have noticed that the business details don't match up to where they live. It's a different house. So Tilly-Ann has come on and said, yeah, it is a different house. It's a semi-detached house in Lerbrec, and that's where they used to live. There's nothing dodgy about that address being on the business details. It just hasn't been updated from when they moved house. As I said, some of the things we've just mentioned there, we will revert back to as we go through today's notes. So something I've come across is last Friday. So I presume that's Friday the 3rd. Somebody's come forward and said, look, I reported a suspicious red van that had been parked in my village near to where Nicola went missing, near the time that Nicola went missing. Their quote is, I saw a tatty red van in Hall Lane outside a barn. I didn't think anything of it at the time, but when I saw Nicola had gone missing, I called 101 and spoke to an operator. I contacted the police again on Friday and spoke to a police officer. It could have been a Renault van. It was a sort of van you can live in. I saw it on my way to the cake shop. Now, so far, the police haven't said anything. They haven't issued any details or a statement about this red van during any part of their investigation. Now, I hope and I assume, really, really hope they're looking into this red van. It shouldn't be too hard for police to locate this red van. It's a red van. It's not the most common type of van. Obviously, the most common type that you see is white. I know it's not a type, it's a colour, but you know what I mean. So that's not hard to narrow it down. And through ANPR cameras, they should be able to find out if any red vans have come into the area or left the area on that day. But let's not forget here, I do want to stress that the police in these types of cases that have got so much coverage, get so many links and leads, they have to look them all up. And it done right, they will look everything up. But obviously, when you're getting hundreds of leads an hour or thousands of leads a day, that takes up a lot of police time. So you have to, they have to prioritise it, and we have to give them time to look through it. Now, a major thing happened last night. A leading underwater forensics expert branded the police investigation into Nicola Bulley's disappearance as a mess. The expert is Peter Faulding, that's Faulding, and he's a leading confined space and forensic search specialist who works on high-profile missing persons cases and no-body murder investigations. His past cases have included cases of Peter Tobin and April Jones, the 5-year-old that were kidnapped and murdered in 2012. And he's basically said that, look, if Nicola was in that water, the search teams should have found something by now. They should have found some evidence, especially considering how long they've been probing that water for. Normally, when a person drowns, if they are left a number of days, they don't move very far. None of this rings right to me. My belief is she's not in the river at all. He's also gone on to criticise the police. He said the area in which Nicola Bulley's phone and dog were found should have been sealed off. It were a crime scene. But it weren't sealed off. And he said that people have been able to go near the bench, touch the bench, whatever else. And I'm sure I've read somewhere else that people are leaving flowers at the bench. And he said, whoa, that is so bad. Even if you do think that she's just gone missing, fell into the river, whatever, until you've found her, until you've got evidence that that's what's happened, that bench should have been sealed off to protect the evidence. In his words, he said, it should have been sealed off immediately as a potential crime scene. That area is crucial. Crucial forensics could have been found in that location. I don't know how the police can say there's no evidence of third-party involvement in this disappearance when they haven't actually checked. I think it's a mess, really. Another friend's come forward and said that Nicola messaged her at 3 minutes to 9. Obviously, that's not a major thing. It doesn't give any extra time information because she was seen after that. But a lot of people are saying this is evidence, and the friend's claiming it's evidence that she didn't intentionally disappear or she wouldn't have done that. But there's a lot of skeptics that are claiming that they reckon she's gone somewhere on her own accord. She's disappeared on purpose. A lot of people are claiming it's a prank. And I suppose I'm not necessarily reckoning that. I'm very open-minded at the minute. But if she has purposely disappeared, then you can't say that that's evidence that she wouldn't do that. Because if you wanted people to think you'd been kidnapped or you died, it would be a great way to do so. Message just 20 minutes before you go missing. Again, I'm not claiming that's what's happened, just putting out information and analysing it with my thoughts and my view. The police have also said they are analysing Nicola's Fitbit data. Now, this confused me. The actual quote I got from one of the papers is, the Fitbit hasn't been synced since Tuesday. The police are trying other ways to get the information from it. Now, I'm from a little bit of a technical background, and as far as I'm aware, no Fitbit has any technology inside it to communicate with anything else other than a phone via Bluetooth. And if that's the case, there is no other way to get the information off it. If the phone hadn't been synced since 3 days before the 27th, then there's no way of getting information off it unless you get the Fitbit itself. They are waterproof, so hopefully if Nicola's body is found, they'll be able to get more information off it then. But to be fair, if Nicola's body is found in the water, as far as I'm concerned, that's then down to the post-mortem to determine how she died. And if she's found in the water, it is possible that she just slipped in without any foul play. So I'm not holding out much hope on the Fitbit. I imagine Fitbit, the company, is looking at the police going, unless you've got the watch, there's nothing we can tell you. So Tilly-Ann talked about the CCTV cameras on the caravan park. And as I said, all the cameras are apparently working except from the one that faces that area. And on the subject of CCTV, Superintendent Sally Riley, remember she's leading this investigation, says that they haven't found any footage of leaving. And from what I keep reading, they're going, look, we're adamant that she hadn't left. And they word it in a way, not to say that we know she definitely hadn't, but kind of there is no reason to think she's left. We've checked everything, done. But in a direct quote, she said, several exits of the riverside area have CCTV covering them, or exits are locked and therefore couldn't have been passed through by Nicola. There's only a small area onto Garstang Lane towards the A586, which is not covered by CCTV. And that's why we're appealing today for dashcam footage or for people who may have been walking on Garstang Lane or driving in the area to come forward if they can. Now, obviously, that statement is a few days old. It's not a new statement, but it does bring to that, although they're saying that she definitely hasn't left, that's not quite true. They're fairly sure she hasn't left, but they can't say for 100% certain that she hasn't left via an exit. So, yesterday, last night even, Lancashire Police released a statement confirming that CGI Specialist Group International will join an already large multi-agency search operation involving a wide variety of search assets and resources. Their capability will overlay what has already been done and continues to be done in order to give extra search coverage along what is an extremely challenging environment to search. I should add, SGI are doing this free of charge. They're not charging the police, they're not charging the state. Now, a major thing about CGI is it's owned by Peter Faulding. Remember, that was the guy that I mentioned just a minute ago that's massively criticised the police. Now, as far as I'm aware, Peter criticised the police before he was invited to help. I don't know if they've offered or whatever, but ultimately, even if he's offered and the police have accepted, it's still an invitation to come and help. So I'm not quite sure which order that's happened in, but I am quite reassured that Peter Faulding's company is involved in the search. Of course, I don't think Peter Faulding's going to be out there searching himself, but I suppose now that his teams are working on the search, it gives him a bit more say in what happens. It gives him a bit more of an advisory role to the police. Whether the police use that or not, no idea. But with his credentials and his past and his notoriety, you'd think that what he says comes with a bit of weight. It's said that they're going to start their searches this morning, which is Monday the 6th of February. They're bringing extra divers and some high-tech sonar. Also, after a police media update, Louise, who is Nicola's sister, has made a Facebook status. And she put, off the back of the latest police media update, please can I add, there is no evidence whatsoever that she has gone into the river. It's just a theory. Everyone needs to keep an open mind, as not all CCTV and leads have been investigated fully. The police confirm the case is far from over. Now, there are lots of interviews happening, and I understand that you're all watching these interviews very keenly, but these interviews are being done by the media, so I'm not sure if I have any creative license over them. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to post them. So I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube and get my channel took down. So I'm going to try and put them into a separate video because I don't want to overanalyze. I think in times like this, we look at things like the experts do. Apart from we haven't got 30 years of university and experience to back us up. So I don't want to end up falling into that trap of being over speculative. So I will look that up today after this video is published, try and get them videos, interviews and stuff and put them on my channel, but I'm not promising anything. So you guys have been in the comments with your thoughts, your insights and extra information. So I'm just going to have a quick look through that now. I do try my best to comment on all comments, or at least heart them. I do read all the comments, I promise. Anthony's comment said, there has been a large number of assaults, check the area crime stats. Now, I am looking into this and I'm looking into as much detail as possible. I haven't found any specific stats that I can compare or that's comparable. I do like stats, so I will keep looking. I just want a bit more time to look at them properly. When I publish stats, I need them to be as factual and as damning or as factual as possible, basically. I did look on the police's website, police.uk, and the greater area of Eccleston and Inskip statistics are on screen now. It doesn't seem alarmingly high to me. But like I said, I'm looking at it and I'd like to look at the population of that area and compare it to other areas per population. Anthony Connolly has pointed out that the clothes you were wearing, so like the ankle length gillet, for example, that will have held a lot of water, making Nicola's clothes very heavy for her. And let's not forget, she's got another coat underneath that, and then she's got clothes underneath them two coats. So she's holding a lot of water in, it's very heavy. Although the river's only slow moving, in a pool, that'd be really hard to swim with. And let's not forget, as long as it is, while you've got water coming at you, splashing you around, to try and undo that all the way down and then remove it isn't an easy task. So if she has fell into the river, that is a good, strong bit of information that's going to back up the fact that even though she were a strong swimmer, she might not have been able to get back out if she fell fully into the river. And also an error on my part, Derek Smith pointed out that the abandoned house that people keep talking about is not the hut thing on the path that I showed you yesterday. The abandoned house is bang on across the river from where the bench is. As I said yesterday, apparently this house has been checked by the owner. Now, from what I read, the owner has said to the police, look, I've checked it, there's not there. I didn't read anything of the police going in and checking it. Now, I don't understand how she'd have got across the river, but again, I'll look again. If there's another bridge, it'll be on screen now. But again, if she hasn't left that area, surely the police could, well, can we come and have a look then? Oh, it's abandoned. No, can we please come and have a look? Let's look at all the cases in the past that have been solved. I keep talking about Shannon Matthews, for example. And the only reason I keep mentioning her is because of the stigma that them sorts of cases bring. So when people are looking at Paul Ansell, Nicola's partner, it does ring back to me about them types of cases, because now when a child goes missing, everybody looks at the partner. Their parents, sorry. So when a woman goes missing, everyone looks at the partner, which rightly so. If people weren't looking at Paul at all, that could be a massive mistake. So I'm not saying that people shouldn't be looking at him, but at the same point, if somebody has done something wrong, hiding it in that building, holding it in that building would be the first place to look. So I really would like the police to go and check it out, even if it's only a quick look around, or even just open the door, send some dogs in, whatever. I do think that that ought to be done. Finally, Kuram Nassar has pointed out that nobody's mentioned the keys. Everyone's saying look for clothes, everyone's saying, oh, we found a phone, we found a dog, we found the harness, but no one's mentioning the keys. And Kiram says, well, if a car's one of these fabulous cars, or whatever else, it is possible to then trace the keys, find where the keys are, find the signal. Now, I'm not an expert in cars, so I don't know how well that'd work, but it is an interesting thing. Also, the keys are metal, so it might be easy to find with metal detectors or whatever else. And I know the police have been looking through the fields with metal detectors, which is helpful. It's just something that, like I said, Kiram says no one's mentioned it. And I kind of go, well, that could actually lead to information somewhere abouts. Like I said, car thieves use that sort of technology all the time to locate where keys are and whatnot else. I've seen the images of filling the car. I can't identify what type of car it is, so I can't identify the type of keys. And like I said, even if I did, I wouldn't be none the wiser. The last thing I want to say is the police are saying stop with the abuse. I'm not going to tell you not to theorise. I'm not going to tell you not to put out what you think. But please don't abuse people. It's all right, in my opinion, to say, I think this person did it. I think this happened. I think it's okay to say, well, what about the finances and everything else? These questions have to be asked. But don't abuse people. I was reading stuff yesterday of the 2 witnesses that were called in by the police, the people that the police were looking for, have been abused. The police were like, whoa, we're not suspects. We just want to know if they saw Nicola and what they said to her, and if she says anything, what spirits you're in, which way was she heading. And apparently these people have been abused. So I don't think it's ever okay to just abuse people, but especially based on theories and speculation. And again, for Paul, if you want to say you think it's Paul, fair enough, that's an okay thing to say in my opinion, but don't give him abuse. Let the police do that. I'm sure that the police will be watching Paul and everybody Nicola knows. But by giving him abuse, if it turns out that she has fell in that river and she's found in the Irish Sea, for example, how are you going to feel? You probably won't, you probably forget about it, that this man with 2 children just lost his partner of 12 years, you've been giving him abuse. That's going to be a long lasting for Paul. So, like I said, I'm all right with your theories, I'm all right with everything else. But to be honest, if you're directly abusing people, if you're making memes or anything else about people that are innocent until proven guilty, then I don't really want you on my channel, to be fair. There's no need for that. Like I said, I'm not saying don't theorise. Freedom of speech and everything else. Just don't be abusive. What next? I don't know. I'm completely confused with it. I'm looking at saying, although the police have told us she hasn't left the field, it's still a possibility. I've always been of the mind that she hasn't fell in the river. To me, there'd be some sort of sign that she fell in. Somebody's just commented, I'm sorry I can't credit you, I'll try and put you on screen, saying that apparently the dog was pacing a bit, the dog was distressed. Well, the dog being distressed to me suggests that the dog saw something. Now that could be Nicola falling into the river and disappearing and the dog being like, where's my mum gone? The distress could be Nicola screaming as she fell into the river. The distress could also be somebody attacking Nicola. So that does suggest that something's happened to her. She hasn't just walked off, because would the dog really be distressed if Nicola just disappeared for 5 minutes? Again, possible, but less likely. My love does go to Paul though. My love goes to him, Nicola's family, Paul's family, the children. What an horrendous time this is for them. Let's just hope that Nicola's found as soon as possible, and then let's hope that when she is found, she's alive and well. The next video, I don't think I'm going to do one tomorrow, depending on the news that comes up. So the next video will probably be Wednesday. But if I change my mind, I will make a community post. So do subscribe, do check it on the community post. As somebody mentioned earlier, it is vital that this story gets around. So although I do want you to share my video, it doesn't matter if you share mine or news articles, just pictures of her. The more people that know about it, the more it's likely that someone's going to come forward with information. And on top of that, if she has disappeared and gone somewhere, it's more likely that she'll be identified if every person in the country is constantly plastered with a picture. So regardless of what your theory is, there is no reason not to share something. I'd like to share my video, but I'm not pushing for that. This is not self-promotion. This is not speculation. This is not theorizing. This is just trying to get as much information out as possible. There's lots of great minds out there just to see what happens, and hopefully Nicola's found. And hopefully the greater community can be a big part of that. Much love to all, much love to everybody in Lancashire. See you later.